My dear nation, dear members of the parliament, distinguished guests, I greet you with my heartfelt feelings, affection and respect. I would like to express my wish to the God that our group meeting will lead to auspicious outcomes for our country and our party. After our group meeting last week, we met with our ministers in the cabinet. On Wednesday, we had the opportunity to consult with our provincial heads, both the 7th Ordinary Congress process and the issues on the agenda. On Thursday, we met with our farmers, fulfilling our longing on the occasion of the Agricultural Council. In this meeting, we told about what we have done so far in the agricultural industry and gave good news to our farmers. We had a great day in Izmir on Friday. First, we inaugurated Bilal Saygılı Mosque within the campus of Ege University, and then we moved on to our city organization building to conduct our consultations. Then we went to the town of Kiraz, paid a visit to our municipality, and met with our brothers and sisters from Izmir at a dinner with wide participation. Yesterday, we had the 5th meeting of Turkey-Qatar High Strategic Committee. After our one-on-one delegation meetings with the Emir of Qatar, we met with our soldiers at the Turkish-Qatar Joint Forces Command. Of course, we also had many discussions and meetings in addition to them, especially concerning the national and regional and international matters. We stated how important it is to cooperate between the countries. And in this process, the activities you have undertaken at the Parliament General Assembly and the Commission meetings are all appreciated. I'm aware of them. Also, in our headquarters, we have conducted routine activities as well as activities for General Congress. I believe that this pace of work continues to spread to all our provinces, districts, neighborhood representative offices in a gradual way. AK Parti has never been an election party that appears before the nation. We are a party working 24 hours a day and 365 days a year, walking hand in hand with our nations. Those who wonder about the secret behind the AK Party's coming to power 15 months after its foundation and maintaining this position for 17 years should look here. Our nation, with the policies we create, the services we deliver, the attitudes we developed, in fact, considers us as a part of them, and that's why they are by our side all the time. With this understanding, those who look down on our nation, considering them a means of their agenda, and who ignore the problems and expectations of people, cannot appear any longer. We threw the old problematic political style of Turkey to the trash, but also changed the management system in a permanent way. Don't we have problems, troubles, shortcomings? Of course we have, but in the face of the magnitude of the attacks we have been subjected to, none of these problems do not have a size that cannot be overcome. We carry out operations that will determine the next half century of our country. We take a determined and honorable stance against the development in our region. As the voice of the oppressed victims, we express our objections at the highest pitch on every platform. In a period where we do all this, it's inevitable that we pay certain prices. If we retreated to our own shell, as in the case of old Turkey, dealing with small issues, if we turned our back on our history and culture, we wouldn't have been able to talk about any of them. Because our nation sees this picture in our country's future, they're always with us in our every endeavor. The duty of AK Party and People's Alliance in this sense is to do activities that will deserve this trust of our nation and the support of our nation. Therefore, I attach great importance to our Congress process. We will continue on our path with an organization structure who has the capacity to serve and determination in all 81 provinces of our country. Each of our friends who have served in AK Party positions since its establishment has a place in our hearts. In every part of our country, in all 81 cities, we need to have people who have the capacity to serve, have the determination, and who have this understanding of cause. In our party, only duties change, dear friends, dear brothers and sisters. Starting with myself, every AK Party member is a natural member of our cause and goals. There is no greater title than that. The rest is about efforts, appreciation, destiny, or fate. Dear friends, as you see, our agenda deals with how better we can serve our country and nation. And we are trying to equip and manage our party in accordance with this purpose. We defend the interests of our country in all corners of the world. We are in pursuit of bringing new works, introducing new works to 81 provinces of our country. In contrast, we see that the second largest party in Turkey presents a completely different landscape, considering their proportion of votes and the seats in the parliament. First, a group of a deputy chairman of the group, in fact, approaches this female deputy chair of our party, saying you should make herself behave, and uses a slang word. Yesterday, one of the people asked me, there are schizophrenic cases on the streets. What will we do about them? And I told they are not just on the streets, but they're also within the parliament. We need to clear these schizophrenic cases first from the parliament. We should take steps in that direction. If we cannot clear our parliament from such people, then it will be a shame for the parliament. And here the biggest responsibility is on your shoulder. I said, you need to write down this in your columns as press members. As a matter of fact, people who are trying to teach a lesson to ladies wearing headscarves appear, but they are, in fact, when necessary, taken under control and arrested. But these people has this, in fact, shield of immunity. Without that, would they be able to take any steps in that direction? They would go to only mental hospitals, asylum hospitals. Within the borders of a country governed by the rule of law, all of them are held to account. However, now this chair of the group will also be looking for solutions. This person might say, I'm foregoing from my immunity. I'm sacrificing my immunity. I mean, making apologies. These are temporary solutions. If you have a heart, just say, if you're brave enough, just say, remove my immunity and let's give this a legal fight. Because this is an old habit of them. But these habits now need to expire in this parliament. You say violence against women, and then you oppose to that. You also oppose to people stabbing women. You oppose to people slapping women in the face. You're going to shout loud and abusing this matter. When it comes to the parliament, you're going to say, I have immunity, and you will say, teach a lesson, and you will say, ulan, a slang word in Turkish. We have seen the examples of it in the past, but they are left in old Turkey. They don't have a place in our country now. It shows that the rulers of CHP couldn't make any progress since the days of February 28th with this approach. Turkey, by owning its democracy and the rule of national will, buried the understanding of February 28th. However, we still see the remains of it based on the arguments experienced in Parliament. We believe that our nation will give a lesson to this understanding at the first opportunity. The primitiveness of this issue was not finished, yet Turkey found itself in another CHP-centered issue. Supposedly, a CHP member, like in spy movies, came to the presidential complex secretly as part of a scenario to talk with us. The presidential complex, dear brothers and sisters, is the home of the nation. CHP members, like everyone, has the right to come here. As a matter of fact, different CHP members came to the complex on various occasions. For example, Mr. Kemal came to the complex after July 15th on a day, momentarily. We were together with Mr. Bahçeli, and he came for that. For example, during his presidential candidacy, Muharrem İnce came to our headquarters, if not the palace complex, to meet with us. And we had a meeting with Mr. İnce in our headquarters. For example, the mayor of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, Mr. İmamoğlu, also came. We received him. All the mayors of the metropolitan municipalities were accepted at the complex after the elections, and we met with them too. There are necessarily CHP members among those who came on other occasions. The complex is not my personal property. It is, in fact, an asset of this nation. And when we undertook this project, when we implemented this project, we wanted to ensure that it would suit our nation and country and open a horizon for the future, that it should have an administrative center, that it should have a mosque, that it should have a multi-purpose huge hall, that it should also have Turkey's biggest library here. And thank God we have completed a wonderful library, and I guess we will be inaugurating it in February. All the matters of Turkey can be naturally discussed with the second largest party in Turkey, but the last discussion in recent days take place in a completely different manner. Dear friends, notwithstanding its ridiculous nature, I would like to briefly summarize this case in point for those who haven't followed, as it's exemplary in terms of showing the state of CHP. There is this journalist who seems to receive treatment in London and whose professional career cannot be shown as a model for new generations. This person put forward a claim with the title "An Awesome News Story" in the newspaper, which is described as the new flagship of our press by the head of the CHP. According to the claim, someone from CHP came to the complex on November 9th with a vehicle whose plate was modified to meet with us and went out with a different license plate. Again, according to the allegation, we told this person in the meeting, "You should be the head of CHP." You know that there is this famous story. A man explains the sacrifice issue to the people around him, saying, Moses prays to Allah, saying, "Dear God, if you give me a daughter, I will sacrifice her for you." After a while, Moses has a daughter and named her Aisha. When the child is about to be sacrificed, Moses puts the knife in her neck, just as he is about to cut. Azrael, the death angel, comes from the sky with a goat in his hand. At this point in the story, one of the listeners can't stand and says, "Which part of this should I fix? Which part of this should I fix?" That the prophet is Abraham, not Moses. It's not a girl, but a boy. It is Ismail, not Aisha. Not Azrael, but angel Gabriel. Not the goat, but a ram. Now, we don't know where to start fixing this claim. First of all, we never had such a meeting. As alleged, no secret or hidden CHP member came to us. The vehicles entering this complex are all clear, and the ones exiting as well. Their records are kept, but they don't know the sort of center we have. I think they confuse it with their own centers. We did not suggest any CHP member that they should be the chair, because there is no ideal chairman compared to Mr. Kemal. Why would we care who chairs CHP? This issue concerns CHP headquarters, CHP delegates, and those voting for CHP. It might be possible to excuse the journalist who put forward, to a certain extent, who put forward such a non-existent meeting and discussion considering his record. I think he apologizes today in his column, apologizing to us as well. Thank you. But what about this CHP person, the chairperson, who added insult to this injury by responding to this claim, saying it should be true? The allegation was so ridiculous that when I first heard it, I thought it would be insulting to reply. I asked my staff to make a statement about the issue. Despite this, the CHP leader looked at the nation in the eye on television and said, "Everyone speaks, why doesn't Erdoğan speak?" lowering the level so much. I denied the claim by saying I'm betting my presidency forward because the matter branched out. Despite this, he couldn't come out and say my wrong, my apologies in a brave way. This is the classic style of this person. He puts forward all kinds of arguments that are irrational and irrelevant and then steps aside by saying, "Come on, answer this," because telling lies is his most important profession. The answers are given, the claims are refuted with documents, but this person continues to say the same things again. It is not enough to turn this person from his path. Although the papers slipped into his hand, the delusions whispered into his ears turn out to be unfounded. Look, he acted the same way from the tank pallet factory in Sakarya to the Man Island claims, because even the decisions from the judicial process does not make him turn from his path. He said the Man Islands, but our brothers, sisters won the case, but he continues on the same path. Because he came to power at CHP with a cassette tape, he's always looking for similar ways to keep staying there. Because being Mr. Kemal is such a thing. So when their lies are slapped on their faces, you will say, "Thank God," and continue the same way. Dear friends, the claim about the CHP person coming to the complex is in the middle, is not clarified. The author says my news source is a person. That person says my news source is one of the CHP members. CHP members say we never do something like that. The person who is exposed to impunity says this was designed at the CHP headquarters. Kılıçdaroğlu, verifying the claim, says I didn't mean to confirm that. Despite all these atrocities, these CHP officials still continue to blame us, which is a funny issue. And then there is another new topic: who were on the yacht. Now they blame each other. I wasn't on the yacht. The other one says I wasn't on the yacht either. So they are blaming each other now. However, Mr. İnce, who put forward such a claim, says they know themselves very well. The CHP chairperson cannot be explained these issues in a way that an average person would understand. I think we can explain it with such a language. Neighbor, neighbor, has your son come? Yes, he did. What did he bring? Pearls and beads. To whom? To you and me. To whom else? To the black cat. Where is the black cat? He climbed the tree. Where is the tree cut by an axe? Where is the axe? Axe is in the water. Where is water? Drank by the cow. Where is cow? Escaped to the mountain. Where is mountain? It burned down and disappeared. Yes, the situation regarding the claim of a CHP person coming to the complex is just like that. The owner of the claim is unclear, the person subject to the claim is unclear, and the person confirming the claim is unclear either. It's like saying the mountain burned down and disappeared. Unfortunately, we have been watching a game that has overshadowed the Games of Thrones, Power Wars, power fights and conspiracy theories in television and see in movies. So, CHP's policymaking powers exhibit their internal fights, and entire Turkey can see that. The thing that should be done by an honorable politician should be to apologize to us and the persons they blame. They should not direct lies, slanders, or empty allegations and hollow accusations. They should be apologizing to our nation for creating such an agenda. CHP played such a theater, and now it is over. It is time to return to the real agenda of our country altogether. Dear brothers and sisters, CHP people can have their own internal settlements behind the closed doors. Their party spokesperson, the people who are in fact part of this process are just expert in lies. They are trying to build this process on the basis of lies. But please just leave these people, leave the people of this nation alone. Get off this nation's back. You are concerned with imperialism one day, a seed fight, and a love for terrorism, so you cannot have any success. And our nation sees this fact indeed, and it never takes CHP above a certain rate in votes. A few municipalities won in the local elections threw them off their balance. As you can see, they started to throw themselves here and there, just 7 months after the elections. You know what do they say? We cannot rule Ankara under these circumstances. They say, what we say, why can't you? You have won. Then they say, I cannot remove the pollution in water or contamination in water. Do you get the grants from the state? Yes, you do. Then you should, in fact, exhibit the art of managing the funds. If you have such a capability, you will take a step. Finding a loan is your business. You should be able to do that. The same applies to Istanbul. We were also undertaker of that role, and we have mayors who are successful in Ankara and Istanbul doing that. I personally performed this position myself. I took over Istanbul with 2.5 billion liras, and we took water to Istanbul, which lacked it. We removed mountains of litter from the ground, and we made sure that we treated all waste waters, creating a bright city. Also, we carried water from Sakarya to Istanbul, and we ensured transportation with a tube passage. Also, we took water under the Bosphorus from the Asian to the European side, and vice versa. If we hadn't found such cures, Istanbul would suffer from water deficiency. That is not the case, though. However, the news do not mean good signs. In as short as 3 months, Istanbul is going towards lack of water if the weather conditions continue like that. The same applies to Ankara. Especially, there are wastewater problems in Ankara, but you're going to resolve these issues. You need to resolve them. If you wanted to take on this position, then you will deliver what is necessary. And concerning this, the Assembly does not give me the authority to take debts. But, as you know, that is something that the activity performer takes. And here, in terms of borrowing, of course, the Assembly cannot take certain responsibilities. If the Assembly understands that you're going to resolve an issue, then they will give the necessary support. Otherwise, they can't do it. I have been serving as Prime Minister and President for many years, and I could not find any main opposition who can in fact challenge me. You see the situation they fall into in their strongest state. Let's see what kind of scenario they will create tomorrow. I wish from God that it saves our nation from the CHP party. Coming back to the real agenda of our nation, we can say that the economic recovery is continuing at full speed, but they have plenty of lies. They continue to say we are bankrupt despite that recovery. Each data explained confirms this fact. For example, retail sales volume rose by 2.7% compared to the same month of the previous year. The stock market exceeded 106,000 points, which is a record in 18 months. And this does not satisfy me. Let me say that when we took office, the stock exchange was around 11,000. And in my prime ministry, we went up all the way to 135,000. We saw a drop, but now we see a recovery. We are around 106,000 points. And hopefully we will achieve that record again. OECD increased Turkey's economic growth from minus 0.3 to plus 0.3, and the forecast for 2020 from 1.6 to 3%. Dear youth, Consumer Confidence Index increased by 5.2% in November compared to the previous month. The number of companies established in October, they say companies are shut down. They have plenty of lies again. The number of companies established in October rose by 8.5% compared to the previous month and 18% compared to October of the previous year. When you deduct the number of companies shut down, the annual increase is around 21%. Real sector confidence index surged by 1.1 points to 102 in November compared to the previous month. Capacity utilization rate in the manufacturing industry increased by 0.8 points in November compared to the previous month and rose to 77.2%, the peak of the last 15 months. In November, The Financial Services Confidence Index rose by 24.5 points to 167 compared to the previous month, and the confidence index in the services industry rose by 0.7%. The risk premium of our country retreated to 300. A while ago it was 500. Now it's 300. Everyone who trusted and invested in our country has won, and they will continue to win. This is a call to the entire nation. Leave aside dollar. Turn to Turkish liras. Let's turn to Turkish liras, as it will not cause any losses any longer. Let's show our national stance when it comes to our currency as well. Recently, we see a sneaky campaign against the products originating from our country in some countries in the region, in our region. Hopefully we will take another step. Agriculture Credit Cooperative hopefully will be serving in 500 points, opening its own sales stores, which will be very decent, and we are going to continue to increase that number. Agriculture credit cooperatives will ensure that the prices remain low and stable. That will be a very important step to help our nation. Also, I would like to share certain developments regarding our defense industry. Dear brothers and sisters, as you know, in the last 5-6 years, Western countries have been increasingly implementing a defense industry embargo against our country, which has reached an undeniable level. So much so that they came to canceling previously acquired licenses rather than having new agreements. Turkey faces this sort of embargo that can be seen only in a state of war, precisely speaking. Especially after our recent operations in Syria and the developments in Eastern Mediterranean, this approach has been more stricter and severe. However, our defense industry has reached the ability to neutralize all these sieges. We are taking the fruits of the seeds we planted one by one in the past 17 years. In the light of the latest developments, we also complete our shortcomings. They didn't give us armed and unarmed drones. We produced it. They didn't give us next generation tanks. We prepared a prototype. When the engine is completed, we will start mass production immediately. They didn't give us helicopters. We built that. They caused problems regarding the engines of the helicopters in the export stage. Hopefully, we will be overcoming this problem soon. You know the tank pallet factory in Arifiye. They are telling lies after lies. They don't know the topic. What do they say? $20 billion. This guy doesn't know figures. He doesn't know the dollar. He doesn't understand the currency. He is not aware of anything. We repeatedly told that we are not selling this premises, but he continues to say that it has been sold. So I reiterate here, this tank pallet factory in Arifiye, my dear brothers and sisters, and my dear nation, hasn't been sold, but given to Qatar and Turkey joint venture BMC, which operates now, allocated to this joint venture for 25 years, on lease. This is not definitely salt. What is this place going to do? It will maintain our tanks, repair and maintain our pallets, and also it will start producing from scratch. Mr. Kemal, you should be knowing all this. You should be learning all this. And another stage in this process includes a provision in the contract. $50 million will be invested by the person to whom this area is allocated, because all the machinery and the equipment needs to be renewed. BMC will be taking that step together with its partners, and after this renewal, the tank pallet factory in Harfiye will be taken to a completely different state. Endless lies, despite that. But we need to be taking care of our business. We have many things to do. Regardless of their lies, they can tell lies until the end of the day. This firm carries on its activities in this place. You closely follow the injustice made to our country concerning F-35. With Allah's permission, we are planning to create our own national combat fighter in 5-6 years. When they didn't give us tools such as rifles and pistols, they thought that we would be empty-handed. But we produced better ones and made it available to our security forces. We have almost no dependence on the weapons and ammunition we use in our operations, especially on Western countries. Now we are in new and more advanced activities. For example, we are counting the days for mass production of air-to-air missiles, domestic and national equipments, which normally we buy from outside by paying millions of dollars. Our air-to-air missile, integrated into the warplanes, completed its hit from the launch pad, and we are going to conduct the tests with highly capable maneuvering missile next year. The Bozdoğan missile, a product of the Göktuğ project, has been in the inventory of the inventory in the Turkish armed forces after the completion of test shootings from the aircraft. Our air-to-air missile, produced by only 9 countries in the world, will be mounted on our national combat aircraft and F-16 combat aircraft. Therefore, in addition to air-to-ground weapons used in our warplanes, we're going to have air-to-air weapons which will be made locally and nationally. For the first time, we fired a national missile from our national ship. The first national marine cruise missile, developed and produced by Roketsan, was successfully launched from Kınalıada ship. I hope this missile will be entering the inventory starting next year. We not only meet our current needs, but also prepare our country and defense for new developments. After the artificial intelligence supported unmanned aerial vehicles, we started the Herkes project, which will enable them to work in non-CPS environment. With this technology, we are going to be able to hit the targets even in the absence of communication. Also, our Phase 2 version, equipped with laser warning receivers and other electronic warfare systems of our attack helicopters, successfully made its first flight. We aim to launch attack phase 2, which we have started to produce with increasing domestic sources as of next year. Construction of factory in Karasu, again, all kinds of engines in Karasu is continued. Likewise, a private sector investment that will fully fill explosives in F-16 and SİHA, and their capsules will be starting soon. With the completion of this investment, we are free of all the sanctions applied from abroad. Just the opposite. We are determined to continue in our path with these agendas despite all those obstacles. And we also say Godspeed to those who get drowned in their own plots. With these feelings, I offer you my love and respect once again. I wish success to our group in this week's assembly activities, and take care.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımıza konuşmalarından dolayı teşekkür ediyoruz. Grup toplantımız sona ermiştir. Sayın milletvekillerimiz genel kurulu bugün saat 15'te başlayacaktır. Her birerlerinizi genel kurula bekliyoruz.